Hey everyone, this is Rock from StagingTheSky.com, and so everything I'm about to say right here, I want to make it clear that this doesn't represent all Sigmas or Christians or red pill men or men who look like me. What you're about to hear is some backstory villain type shit. Like, I'm a normal, high-functioning, productive member of society, but I hate parties. I hate going to social events. I hate going to large gatherings where the main thing you do is socialize. And here's why. First off, I need to say that it's not lost on me the honor that people want to have me around. Like, people want me to attend these functions and social events. Like, they enjoy my company. You know, that's not lost on me. I definitely appreciate it. That says a lot about my character. I bow humbly to that. What prompted me to write this essay and publish this video is because recently there was a party for my boss's radio show where fans and radio personalities, they came out and they had fun. And I'm a co-host, part of my boss's show. I was invited, but I declined. And when a female coworker or co-host, she asked me, "Oh, Rock, you don't like to socialize?" I answered, "No, not really." That's the truth. But as always, there's more to it than that. It's sort of like when people say, "Oh, you don't like fat girls?" Well, there's more to it than just the superficial. And when I try to explain this to people, they tend to struggle with comprehension, meaning they don't understand. And if they don't understand, then obviously they think, "Oh, you're blown out of proportion. There's something wrong with you. All you need to do is just fix yourself. You'll be all right." Or there's the people who just don't believe me, or they don't want to believe me. So for the love of God, here's the top 4 reasons why social events are not for me. It's not my scene. This essay comes replete with memes and funny stories, and it comes with the remedy, the conditions that will make me actually want to attend a party. Meaning, down below I have the timestamps. So if you want to just jump to reasons or things that would get me to go to a party or social event, you can go to that, because there are things that will prompt me and, you know, I feel compelled and I'm going to go. So, reason number 1, socializing becomes a performance. When I answered the question of, "Oh, Rock, you don't like to socialize?" and I said, "No, not really," this is true. But here's the thing, I can and I do socialize all the time. I'm actually pretty good at it. And one of the coolest compliments I get is that I'm fun and easy to talk to. The question was, do I like it? So in the context of a party or a large gathering, the answer is a resounding no. Why? Because I have to watch what I say. Because you're likely to deal with an audience. It's not just a conversation between you and a few individuals, but between you and whoever's within earshot, which can be 10 to 20. Not to mention the countless curious eyes staring at me from afar, the big black dude who seems to be the center of attention. Being the center of attention is another thing I really don't like. I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. In high school, I was part of a drama club. They called that stage presence. And I was told back then, as 18 years old, "Oh, you just got to get used to it." But when you get to my reason number 3, you're gonna understand why me being the center of attention and having stage presence in a party, it doesn't go my way. It doesn't work in my favor. It's not a good thing. Hang on, Rock. What exactly do you talk about at parties? It's supposed to be fun. Why are you talking about these deep controversial things? Alright, so let's back up for a sec. What's the point of going to a party or get together? It's to socialize, right? It's to network, it's to have fun, it's to catch up, it's to lay back, drink a beer, dance, be entertained, right? Why go to a party if you're not planning on having a good time? Alright, now brace yourself. What if I told you that none of those things are fun to me? I can do those things and I do them well, but it's not fun. Small talk has about a 3-minute time limit before I have to put on a performance and pretend to still be interested. It takes strength and energy to not make the other person feel like they're torturing me with knowledge I already know or don't care about. Yes, I can converse about sports, the weather, your dog, where you went to school, how you like to fish on the weekends and all that, but I don't find those things fulfilling. Usually it's just the basics. People are just giving you highlights, things you can learn about through a quick scroll of their Facebook page. What I mean by fulfilling is that there's nothing in their small talk that I hate to say this, but there's nothing I can benefit from. You're not teaching me anything new other than minor details about your life, and if I never see you again, then those details are worthless. So what ends up happening is that I'm now standing there pretending to care about what's being talked about, and I have the Stephen A. Smith, but I don't look like that. I'm going to look like I'm interested, or at least pretend to put on a face like, "Oh, that's cool," or "I appreciate you telling me this." My friends, this is exhausting, and for a man such as myself, my time is valuable. There are so many projects I'd rather be working on, so many books I like to read, so many documentaries to catch up on. There's so much in this world that's happened that I haven't learned about yet. For me to even spend half an hour listening to someone talk about the NFL draft or who's the best candidate for which team, again, that's like a 3 to 5 minute conversation for me. Anything longer than that, and I'm like, this is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time. This issue of time I'm sorry, but I really just don't like to take it for granted. I'm addicted to production, and I get my high off of accomplishment. And I say that like it's catchy, but it really does go a long way with me. Even when I go on vacations or I visit family, the melancholy of us just sitting around watching some sitcom is abysmal. And when I ask, hey, what are we doing right now? They say, oh, we're just enjoying each other's company as we watch TV. When I converse, I want to hear motives, I want to hear intentions, I want to hear goals, I want to know why you have those goals. What's your opinion on life? Why do you have those opinions? What do you think is going to happen? Why do you think that's going to happen? What was your childhood like? What made you who you are? These are things I can take away with me. So I didn't just talk to you, I experienced you. You motivated me, you inspired me, helped me to gain greater respect for you. I find it all entertaining, and when people tell me about their life experiences, I really do have the imagination to listen to what you're telling me and be transported to a time and place. That's why they crack up when they see my animated facial expressions. I don't just hear what they're telling me, I see it. And it's fun for me, I like that. So to sum this point up, if I'm at a party and I'm bored out of my mind, I really don't want to be there, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to look like I'm having a good time. I'm acting. This is a performance. I'm doing things you'd expect from a normal person because I don't want to be intentionally rude, or I don't want people to get the wrong impression about me. I care about perceptions. I'm an adult. I've been at so many social events in the past where friends come up to me and say, "See, Rock, you're having a good time." And so badly, I just want to smile, lean over, and shout over the music, "I'm pretending. I fucking hate this." Reason number 2. Now, this is going to be hard for a lot of you guys to understand if you never experienced what it's like to be alone. But number 2 is that it forces me to realize how alone I am. And I'm about to get really deep with this, so be prepared for some psychological stuff right here. By now, I'm speaking to an adult audience right now, most of us should understand that it's possible to be alone and not feel lonely. In the same token, it's also possible to be surrounded by others and yet feel alone. Allow me to illustrate. This is going to get a little bit religious. All right, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, but I am a Christian. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So a couple of years back, when friends invited me to their congregation, I accepted. And the first half of the meeting I liked. It was a lot of philosophical stuff about religion, which I soaked in. I'm like, okay, this is his opinion and his interpretation on the scriptures. I can deal with that. The second part of the meeting is when everyone pulls out their magazine, their Jehovah's Witness magazine, and this is called a Watchtower, and people, they follow along as the paragraphs are read out loud. And people, you know, they get to answer questions to it, and the whole congregation gets involved. And it used to be fun for me when I was a kid. The problem was, the Watchtower article was about how to be a better Jehovah's Witness when it comes to door-to-door field service that they're known for. Everyone knows this running joke, oh, someone Jehovah's Witness coming to your door, oh, whatever. The whole point of the article that they were reading, it was about strengthening and encouraging other Jehovah's Witnesses to be better Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you're not one, it prompts you to ask yourself, well, why aren't you? And this is what caused me to feel wretchedly alone. I was surrounded by about 200 individuals, all engaging in this article. All of them looked like they wanted to be there, and it was so nice and warm and inviting, but I ended up stepping out before they finished. When a friend followed me outside, I had to explain, "I'm sorry, man, I appreciate the invite, and I really enjoyed the public talk," that's the first part, "but the Watchtower article, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I'll never be a Jehovah's Witness. I respect and admire the religion, and I give you guys a lot of prop for your door-to-door ministry, but there's too many scars in my heart that will never allow me to become one of you." And for a lot of people who, if you don't know the backstory, it was kind of miserable when my parents forced me to be a Jehovah's Witness and study with them when I was a teenager. And but yeah, that had a lot to do. It has a lot to do with the reason why I don't like going to congregations and parties. But the point of my mentioning in this is I was surrounded by others, and yet I felt alone because I was the only guy there where everyone else is the same, and I wasn't. This was a terrible day for me. I stepped out of my comfort zone and I failed. Anyone who doesn't know the history would probably encourage me, "Oh, you know, you got to keep trying, you got to keep getting out there." At which point I'd probably have a flash of that scene from Sin City where Dwight's holding that guy's head down in the toilet, because they don't know any better. They're just giving you cliche feedback of what they think a normal person should do because they think, "Oh, you're miserable and I'm going to try to help you." The point is, when you're different and you can't shake the awareness of how similar everyone else is, it's really not a good idea to put yourself in that situation. It's really not a good idea to surround yourself with those kind of people. It's like if I went to a hip-hop party where they're decked in black, they got that hip-hop swag, the bass heavy voices, they're slipping on Hennessy and all that. That's not me. So if I get around them, they're gonna look at me like I'm Carlton, right? They're gonna be like, "Oh, who's this?" You know, like he fake. He trying to, because I'll try my best to blend in, and even then, like I said, it's a performance. It'd be the same way if I went to a party or a get-together where everyone else is white, right? And everyone's wearing blue jeans and black tops and they got Harley jackets on. That's not me. This isn't to knock those cultures. I have been to parties like these, and I know people, they did their best to treat me like I was one of the pack. So in a lot of ways, it's not them, it's me. And even at the parties where I would honestly, even on the rare occasions where I would go to a party and I would honestly have a good time, and I was genuinely happy to be there, in the aftermath, that's when I suffered the hangover of bitter loneliness. But Rock, that's why you're supposed to take someone home with you, hello? Yeah, I'm a virgin who believes in waiting until marriage to have sex. Yeah, so unless ladies these days are crazy about sleepovers, I mean, we can do that. Also, don't get it twisted. Trust me when I say I'm not miserable when I'm by myself. God has blessed me with an incredible mind and a powerful imagination. He's blessed me with a strong work ethic, and I'm an author. I legit write 300+ page novels in addition to these critical essays. So even when I'm by myself, I'm working out, I'm cleaning, I'm boxing, shooting basketball, I'm writing, my mind is focused. I am thoroughly happy and entertained. But still, just because I know how to make the most of my lot in life doesn't mean I'm impervious to the abysmal loneliness and the depression that it brings. Loneliness is perhaps one of my most constant hurdles I have to face. So I do what I can to avoid putting myself in situations where that loneliness can creep in. Because dare I say, it's ironic, the thing that brings about this loneliness is society itself. Allow me to illustrate. In the Amazonian rainforest, there are natives, indigenous tribes living in grass huts, still in a primitive third world setting. One day, some woman comes from San Diego and she visits and teaches them about this thing called air conditioning. They experience it, it feels good, it feels marvelous, they get used to it. Now, when the woman goes to San Diego or returns back home, she takes that AC unit with her. This tribe that's existed for generations without electricity or technology has just been exposed to AC, and now it's gone. Now they're back to dealing with the sweltering heat. Can you imagine how that must feel? To have to get used to life without air conditioning once you've experienced it? Hold on, Rock, you don't know that they're miserable. Maybe it doesn't take them that long to get back to the heat and humidity. The point is, they wouldn't have to get used to it again if they weren't teased with it to begin with. They've lived for generations without it, and now they know such a thing exists. They can't have it unless someone leaves from the village and earns extra money to afford one. But for now, it's gone. It's the same when it comes to Christmas time, or birthdays, or Valentine's Day. It's the same with the romantic comedies and teen dramas. Society teases you with the kind of relationships and love you may not have or be blessed with. We're inundated with happy couples and warm, festive scenes. This isn't to knock those things. Trust me, I wish I had a spouse. I have no shame in admitting it. But if you're lacking these things in your life, you don't have it yet, it's easy to fall victim to the sadness and depression. You can feel inadequate. That's what parties and social events are to me. They remind me of what I lack. When it's all over, you're back to yourself. You have to get used to being alone all over again. No, Rock, you can just call up your friends and ask them to hang out. That's the point of going to parties and meeting new friends. The kind of loneliness I'm talking about here, no male friend or family member could ever alleviate that. You see what I'm getting at? Most of the social events I get invited to, they're by my mentor, and he's kind of like a father figure. His name is Kevin Hazlett. He's a criminal defense attorney with a huge network down here in the Tampa Bay area. He's been kind enough to welcome me to his home many times for Thanksgiving, birthdays, and other events. And every time, as much as it really does bring a smile to my face to see everyone so happy and enjoying themselves, I can't help but feel my heart tighten at the sight of everyone having someone. People are married, there are couples, they have children, there are single moms. It's bittersweet, and deep down the fact that I have no one while everyone else has someone. You know what I'm talking about? Everyone has someone. Yeah, I have guy friends, and yeah, I have female friends, but they're usually married or way much older, so they're not marrying material. So when you're surrounded by those kind of things and you see everyone has someone but you don't, it feels like you're that kid who wasn't picked for either team for dodgeball. These are stupid, wretched feelings that run the risk of distorting my self-worth and confidence. If you're not picked, then it must mean you're undesirable, right? I don't think so. There are many reasons why a man or woman is alone for so long. For me to give a few reasons would sound egotistical and insulting to those who are in stable long-term relationships, so I won't even go there. Because those who are married and stay married, they have my utmost respect. Either way, whenever I'm hit by this onset of loneliness, it brings about 3 to 4 days of depression where I'm down in the dumps, and eventually I have to take time to remind myself of who I am. I'm not John Everyman. I'm Rock. Intellectual. I'm a Christian. I'm a man who's read the Bible from cover to cover and believes in it. A man who's worked his ass off to lose 178 pounds and keep it off. A man who's published numerous books and still keeps coming up with good shit. Of everyone in my world, I've never met anyone who comes close to being anything like me. This is narcissism. This is stuff I have to remind myself so I can pick my ass up and stop feeling bad for what I don't have. Reason number 3. Alright, so this is gonna hit home with the red pill community. Reason number 3, a reason why I don't like going to parties and big social events and large gatherings, is the annoying courtship pressure. And that's kind of my soft way of saying relationships these days. Millennials, we have fucked up the dating culture. And the way we used to do it, we don't do it anymore. So I'm gonna hit you with some false accusations I've faced, and you're not gonna believe what I've been through. When it comes to traditional norms surrounding courtship, everyone has to deal with pressure. Everyone has to deal with the fear of rejection. Everyone has to conquer the fear of putting their heart out there. So I get it. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm different from everyone in this regard. But keep in mind, I'm not you. I don't know what it's like to be you. I'm about to reveal what it's like to be me. First, I have to begin by addressing the major episodes that changed my life, the accusations. In 2011, I was about 24, 25 at the time, I was accused of sexual harassment by a coworker when I impulsively laughed upon hearing that she had breast reduction surgery. I was 24 going on 25. It was immature of me. I felt super sorry about it as soon as I walked away from laughing. Alright, so I'm just gonna give you a little bit more details of going off script here, but basically, I covered for her for a couple of days, and she told me that she was going to have some kind of surgery. Didn't know what kind. So months go by since she had the surgery, comes back. I'm walking out. We're closing down, right? So it's just me and her in the bullpen and my manager. And manager's far away, so it's just me and her. And I was like, hey, how's everything going? Everything's going good. All right, you feel a lot better since the surgery? Yeah, she starts telling me all this stuff, and she's giving me details about the surgery. She didn't tell me what kind of surgery it is yet, but she's giving me details, alluding to what I think happened. So then I said, well, what kind of surgery did you get? And then she told me breast reduction surgery. And when she told me, I laughed out loud. Again, super immature of me. But it wasn't so, like middle school. It was more so because this girl had, honestly, I hate to say it, but she had big breasts. So when she told me she had breast reduction surgery, I knew it. Kind of like that. I knew that was what we were going to get. Either way, I felt super sorry about it. She had every right to complain, but it was the nth level that they took it to. And because even then when I laughed, she played it off too. Like, she was cool about it. Like, this is some mafia type shit where, they smile in your face, but really, when you messed up, they're already plotting their revenge, and there's no way they'd ever tell you. And basically, like a couple days later, my manager pulled me out in the hallway and say, hey, Rox, you remember when you said that? I'm like, yeah, she really didn't appreciate that. And I felt really bad. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I feel horrible about laughing like that. I have an impulsive laugh. Like, if someone flips down the stairs or trips down the stairs, yeah, I'm gonna laugh, and I shouldn't do that. Terrible. And he says, yeah, she's basically accusing you of sexual harassment. And it hit me hard. I was like, oh my God. Again, at this point, I didn't blame her for that. It was my fault. I shouldn't have laughed. It was very immature of me. But for her and them to accuse me of sexual harassment, when my whole life I was a white knight. I was the blue pill, where I would fight for her. I would fight and defend for her honor. I would never rape, molest, any of that. I wouldn't even, like, if a woman's afraid of me, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, I would bend over backwards to avoid that. So to be accused of sexual harassment, it really shook my world. It really did. And then, I went through a phase where I reflected on my actions. I'm like, okay, I laughed. That's inappropriate, sure, but sexual harassment, give me a fucking break. I'm not because when you think of harassment, you think of, hey, stop it, and the person keeps doing it. Or if someone, does actions where they're, basically stalking this individual. I didn't do any of that. I laughed. There was a single episode, felt bad about it, and now I have this on my conscience. So I kind of felt the resentment built, which is why I know a little bit something about things when it comes to critical race theory and Black Lives Matter. I'm like, yeah, you keep pushing this guilt on white people, it's gonna come to a point where they're gonna say, hey, you know what? I'm not racist. Why do I feel this way? Who made me feel this way? And then you're gonna create races where they weren't racist to begin with. All right, so going back to the story. So she accused me of sexual harassment. I felt really bad about it, but trying to move on. So what happened was, this girl, she continued to be my Facebook friend, even after she accused me of sexual harassment. And when I published this website, stageinthesky.com, she clicked on my Facebook link. Odd. I mean, if you accuse this guy of sexual harassment, why on earth would you go to his Facebook, his personal website, click on links and look around? That's strange. So she clicked on the link, came here, went to different, I have original stories and I have original characters, and she went through one of my characters, scrolled down, found a character that had her last name. It had none of her physical likenesses, it had nothing to do with her personality, but it had her last name, and she felt entitled to do something about it. She went on that same wall where I posted, "Hey everyone, this is my Facebook, this is my Stage and Sky website page," and I feel like this whole story is getting convoluted. But either way, she demanded that I change my character that I created. I was like, fuck that, no. I was already feeling the type of way and kind of feeling resentment, but now you kind of pushed me to the edge. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell HR." I'm like, "Okay, go ahead. Get the authorities involved. I work at a law firm. I know my rights, you know." And I was really ready to go to war over this. This is my passion, my work, and I wasn't thinking about her when I created the character. And maybe if she had come to me in private and asked, "Hey, can you take it or change it?" I would maybe consider it then. But the attitude, the entitlement, as if she had ownership of my work because a character just so happens to have her last name, yeah, she had gone too far. And it turns out she was dating one of the managers. The manager told me that if she went to HR, then another accusation would come out. Mind you, we're only on accusation 1 right here. So now you're about to hear accusation number 2. This accusation involved a woman I was genuinely in love with. This is, again, 2011. That was a fucked up year for me. This woman apparently told the same manager that the other girl was seeing that it felt like I was stalking her. Again, I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. At that point in my life, I was obsessed with becoming a published author. It was vanity. Like, I put my life into my work. I wasn't about to waste my time on anyone who didn't want anything to do with me, but this girl, I did actively pursue her romantically, and we did go out on several occasions. And guess what? Each time we went out, it was her who asked me out. It was her who invited me over to her place. So when I heard that even she tried to get me in trouble by telling a manager it felt like I was stalking her, it really was a crushing blow. And I know she only did this out of retaliation. We're both competitors when it comes to our intellect. And when I won a heated critical debate that insulted her, she told me, I remember plain as day, she's like, "Hey Rock, can I tell you what you're saying?" "Yes. I think we should just keep our relationship professional." And I was kind of pissed at the time, so I'm like, "All right, yeah, fine, let's do that." And this was around the time that she told the manager it felt like I was stalking her. Not to mention, she had the effing balls to invite me out again years later. And of course, when I confronted her with all this, how it wrecked me and how I was forced to change my work because of her and the other girl, she denied it. And she claimed the manager was lying. And of course, I don't believe this girl. I have 2 sources to confirm what she did. Alright, so the last accusation, this is accusation number 3. This happened back in 2012. So all this happened 7-8 years ago, and you can still hear the vitriol in my voice, right? These are very traumatic, painful experiences that people don't understand, or they think it's nothing. Oh, it's just an accusation. If it really didn't happen, you don't worry about it. But it does. So this last girl in 2012, we're going to call her Miranda. She told a group of my coworkers at a post-Super Bowl party that she felt creeped out by me. I wouldn't find out about this until years later, but it explained why a lot of my coworkers, they were suddenly treating me differently. So long story short, what happened with this one is that when she and I were chatting up, I did genuinely think that she was pretty even after all the accusations from 2011. I try my luck once again, right? That's what we're told. Don't give up. You got to keep putting yourself out there, giving it a shot. And yeah, cue the round of men saying, "Well, that's why you shouldn't date coworkers. Don't eat shit where you eat." Don't worry, I'm gonna get to that. Anyways, what happened here is that I walked her out to her car. There was another coworker and he saw what was up, so he bounced and he's like, "Hey, let Rock do his thing." But I walked her out to her car. I complimented her beauty, and politely I said, "Hey, can I get your number?" And she gave it to me. And she added this disclaimer. She's like, "Yeah, you can have my number, but I have to tell you, I do have a boyfriend." And I smiled and I thanked her, and I never called her. Why? Because she had a boyfriend. So to hear that even she spread rumors that I was a creep because of that, that was the last straw. All this happened before the MeToo movement. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have been fired. These accusations might not sound like a big deal to you, but to me, it was devastating, man. Like, the best way I can explain it to illustrate to people who don't know what it's like to be falsely accused of sexual harassment, for all the ladies out there, even white people, put it this way. Say you're white, and if you love and admire all ethnicities without a racist bone in your body, particularly you have an affinity for black people, but on 3 separate occasions in the same year, a black person took an innocent gesture or something you said the wrong way and accused you of being a racist, how would you feel? Even if you know you're not a racist, you've been accused of it. People are spreading rumors. The word is out. People think that you're a racist. Tell me, which of you will still go out and try to hang out with black people after innocent gesture that you said went the wrong way 3 different times? Tell me, which of you wouldn't have your guard up when black people come around because you're so effing crippled, because you're so afraid of offending them when you know you're not a racist? In addition to that, in my reason 4, I'm going to explain how I used to weigh 378 pounds, which prompted a complex where I saw myself as ugly. I really did think I was a monster. It took years to get over all that. So to be called a creep, have another girl claim it felt like I was stalking her, and have another girl accuse me of sexual harassment because I laughed, it reinforced the idea that maybe I was this big ass ugly black monster I suspected others saw me as. This is a rotten feeling. For a period of time, I avoided any women who I was remotely attracted to, thinking that my lust, my desire, was apparently so transparent that they saw it and everyone was appalled by it. I walked on eggshells, afraid to talk to anyone. If it wasn't for my exes damn near throwing themselves at me, I would have stayed single all during my 20s. And I know, don't date coworkers, don't shit where you eat. But realistically, with my lifestyle and the fact that I love working, it's more likely that my future wife will either be someone I work with, someone who frequents the same gyms as me, or that rare flower who has the courage to connect with me out of the blue. And the reason why people say, oh, don't date your coworkers, is because of all the bad cases that come out. They hardly publicize the good ones, which I believe outnumber the bad. And what do I mean by bad? Post MeToo, you won't hear this in the mainstream, but more and more men are seeing women as potential threats to their career and social status. Asking a woman out is like giving them a grenade in which you never know when that's going to go off. That's what the Brett Kavanaugh case taught us. It doesn't matter if it's 3 years or 30. At any time, a man could be accused of anything without any evidence, and the world is told to believe her. Thus, to this day, 9 years later, I live by rules I created to avoid making the same mistakes. I don't take chances on leftists, feminists, or anyone preaching female empowerment. If I do see a beautiful woman at the gym or a place I frequent, I won't give them my attention until I spotted them on 3 different dates to let me know that they're regular and worth getting to know. I never say hello to a woman who doesn't make eye contact between if they're down looking at their phone or they act like I'm not even there as they walk past me. I'm not gonna say, hi, how you doing? Hey, beautiful. No, you're not getting any of that. I never compliment a female stranger who's around the same age as me because, God forbid. And because I can't tell the difference between shyness and fear, I stay away from both. No, that doesn't mean I treat women like they don't exist. I treat all strangers with respect and kindness as our Lord Christ commanded, but romantically. My rules are in place to protect me and my future. And believe it or not, just those rules I have in place, they don't exclude me from all women, because believe it or not, there are cool women out there. They make eye contact, they say hello, they have the confidence to, know I'm not going to hurt them, so I can talk to these people. But sad to say, it's a lot of millennials, and I'm a millennial, so what are you gonna do? So yeah, this is a big reason why I effing hate going to parties and social events. If I do go, I won't say it's hopeless, I'll run into a potential mate, but it's not a hope I choose to entertain. Meaning it's great if it happens, but I'm not disappointed because I had no expectations. Now that I got all that trauma out of the way, you might be able to understand why I have such exceeding high level of self-awareness about my intentions and my desires. I think this is why a lot of people get drunk when they go to social events. It's to dull that awareness, to lower the volume of their thoughts in their heads. They call it liquid courage, but bravery in the absence of fear is not courage. Is a man who swims in a lake courageous when he doesn't know that it's infested with crocodiles? The thing is, I don't drink, so everything is super sharp to me, especially in a party environment where there's so much happening. It's like a flood of information entering my head, and sometimes it's overwhelming, where I have to pause and close my eyes for a moment, pressing my hands against a flat surface to calm my nerves. And no lie, this has happened. I'm not making this up, or I've gone to family reunions where, a cousin I haven't seen in a long time, hey, this is my son, and, she's looking at me, she's like, are you afraid? I'm shaking like a dog. I'm like, I don't know, that's how much all of this has affected me. No, I don't feel pity, but again, it's just not my scene. And when I go to parties and social events, the more I'm blinded by lust, the more I'm attracted to a woman, the more I'm likely to put on a performance. Not fake, not pretending to be someone I'm not, but I'm just holding back a lot of who I am to appeal to a general stereotype of what we think average women want. The only time I ever really truly show myself to embrace yourself, alright, so this is a cheat code. The only times I've ever shown my true self to a new woman at a party or social event is 1, they are older than me, so they're not dating material. 2, they're married or are in a long-term relationship, so not dating material. Or 3, and this is the quickest way to my heart, but the topic of my being an author comes up and they latch onto that. They ask about my books and appear genuinely fascinated by what I have to say. And yes, as someone who knows how to pretend, we can also tell when others are pretending. But when it's genuine, the ice around my heart thaws. Most people don't care. If I tell them, hey, I'm an author, they don't care, and I get it, I don't expect them to. But if she does, if I do fascinate her, yeah, I will fall for her quickly, stupidly almost. The problem with everyone wearing these figurative masks, trying so hard to make a good first impression, at some point the mask is going to have to come off. This is where you run into the cliche complaint of, oh, well, he's not who I thought he was. Of course, it's called game. A lot of men run game all the time to get women to sleep with them, to invest emotions in them before showing their true colors, which you may not like. However, as much as women like to blame men for running game, at some point I do wish they were more honest with themselves. If they didn't have sex on the first date or engage in hookup culture to begin with, all that game would have a lesser effect because men would have to work much harder, give you their commitment. You used to hear of older couples getting married after only just 3 months of dating. I'm talking about people who were born in the 50s and 60s. Guess why they did that? Marriage backed by the moral virtues of religion, it used to be a covenant of stability. But we moved so far away from religion, so that's changed for most people. It hasn't for me. With men, the first impression is critical. It sets the tone. You can go downhill from there and still be good in her books because she remembers that first impression and knows you're capable of it. But trying to go uphill from a bad first impression is damn near impossible, unless you save her life or fight off some bullies like some 90s after school special. Either way, the biggest problem with my first impression is that I'm at the party in the first place. Think about it. If a woman meets you at the gym, it's reasonable for her to assume that you like working out. If she meets you at some indoor rock climbing gym, it's reasonable for her to assume that you like trying new things. If she meets you at a book club or concert or some poetry session, it's reasonable for her to assume you're creative, or you like the band, or you're tuned in with artistic expression. If she meets you at a party, it's reasonable for her to assume that you're an outgoing person. I'm not an outgoing person. If you catch me at some event, it's usually for a good reason, sometimes begrudgingly, but always with a purpose. And for her to have that baseline that I'm outgoing and expect that we're gonna go out and attend events in the future if we get together, she's gonna be disappointed. Alright, this is all such stupid rock. There are plenty of men out there just being themselves and they find success with women at parties all the time. Why can't you just be yourself? You're good the way you are. I like you. I like your personality. I think you're putting too much stock in this notion of disappointing her in first impressions. She's a grown woman. You're not in charge of her feelings. Sounds like you're overthinking things and making things way too complicated. I agree. I overthink things. I overanalyze. That's who I am. Don't you see? I like who I am. If you don't, that's all good, but please move along. There are billions of other people who think just like you. By all means, go to them. And I say that, I mean, because I know people are just trying to help, but again, they're trying to compare me to other people, and I guess it gets kind of frustrating because if I just told you how traumatizing all those experiences were for me. Alright, so reason number 4. Again, this is gonna hit home when it comes to millennials. I don't think I'm alone, but I'm talking about the stereotype of millennials. I don't fit in with most of today's millennials. I can blend in, I can make it seem like I'm one of the pack, but really it's not me. I was born in 1986, so technically I am a millennial, but I was raised old school. Me and my brothers, we were the type who, when we saw that Michael Jordan documentary, and while you have people criticizing Jordan for braiding his teammates and being super competitive and joking about Jordan taking it too personal, my brothers and I were like, yep, don't worry Michael Jordan, we get it. We take that personal, we're competitive, we make jokes, you know, we push each other. Think about high school and college. Everyone has or had a clique. If you're a preppy nerd and you walk into a goth hangout, you're probably gonna feel out of place. That's how I feel at pretty much every social event that doesn't relate to family. And even on my dad's side of the family, when I was growing up, I didn't feel accepted by them because I was an Oreo. I was kind of the Carlton in the family. I like the Backstreet Boys where everyone else was listening to Biggie and Tupac. Once upon a time, I really was into going to parties and social events, especially my senior year in high school. I mean, it was crazy. I loved that year. It was one of the best years of my life. See, Rock? See if it was the best year of your life, you go to parties. It was the best year of my life because I was innocent and didn't know any better. Let me explain. When I first got to Tampa, I was 18. This is 2005. When I first got to Tampa for college at the age of 18, I was hitting up events, clubs, concerts. I didn't feel any fear of isolation or not fitting in. It was fun. I wasn't thinking. But that's the thing. Back then, I wasn't much of a thinker. The change came when I ballooned up to 378 pounds. Obviously, this didn't happen overnight. It took about a period of 2 years. From the age of 18, I weighed myself as like 275, so I was already fat to begin with. But then delivering pizzas, working as a pizza driver all during college, by the age of 21, stepped on the scale, 378. I was a glutton. For years, I had this routine of sleeping during the day, going to school, and then staying up all night because I worked the closing shift and then I go to my school and I do my writing. I think that when you do this for so long, when you get out of the habit of attending social events, you get used to it. I forgot how it felt to be in the mix of it all. I forgot the atmosphere. I forgot how things felt to just go and hang out with a large clique of friends. I had become a night owl. Almost everywhere I went after midnight, I had the stores and gas stations all to myself. I ended up befriending the workers and the regulars. These were my new buddies. Like, we would hang out outside a gas station like 4:30 in the morning just talking about what's going on in the world. And those would be fun to me. And weighing 378 pounds, it really did diminish my self-esteem. You don't realize it at first, but gradually I saw how my classmates didn't want to be around me, and I couldn't blame them. I wouldn't want to be around me either. I was fat and ugly. I had male boobs that I hid by wearing a dark blue vest everywhere. Ugh. And more often than you think, I actually caught people staring at me. Again, 6'3", 378 pounds, I was a fucking behemoth. I had convinced myself that I looked like a monster, and I carried this perception well from the age of 20 to 22, which prompted me to start working out. But Rock, sounds like all that's just in your head. Well, I hate to say this, but no shit, Sherlock. Even if it's not reality, this was my perception of reality. The only thing that would change it is if my observation changed, which actually happened years later when I turned 26. I finally got down to 225. I looked good, and the way people interacted with me, it was different. But still, once I was able to lose all that weight and finally start looking like a desirable human being again, you'd think I'd just get back into the hang of social events and that'd be a breeze, right? Well, entered the age of social justice and political correctness. As I said, when I was younger and into the party scene, I wasn't much of a thinker. I hadn't read the Bible, and I was very much part of the world, wanting to be down with the trends and popular opinion. But by my mid-20s, even before I read the Bible, I was blossoming as an intellectual. I saw hypocrisies, contradictions, double standards the mainstream lived by. I saw people's careers ending because they said a word that someone found offensive. I saw people's lives ruined by the mere accusation alone, regardless of evidence, regardless of how many times the truth came out and revealed that the accusation was a lie. I already mentioned sexual harassment. I'm not going to rehash that. But even in my late 20s, I was called into my manager's office many times because of my snowflake millennial peers because of snowflake-related complaints. Before I continue, I have to say, by this time, my late 20s, I was getting better about knowing myself. I had come to the conclusion that people were just using accusations and complaining in the name of social justice, not out of some principle, but because they simply don't like you. Meaning, if they did like you and they were cool with you, you can make fun of anything taboo and they wouldn't be offended, or at the very least they wouldn't tell on you. However, if they don't like you, if they don't like what you stand for, if they hate what you're trying to accomplish, if they hate that your mere presence, the fact that you excel prompts them to feel bad about what they're doing with their lives, yeah, they will definitely pounce on every opportunity to use the village or the herd to attack you. This is social justice. Long gone are the days where you just walk up to the person who offended you and you talked it out. Nope, these weaklings will use the village. And what I mean by the village is that once upon a time it was just one person who was offended, but now this person will complain to enough people so that everyone's offended. So now you have the village, and it's the opposite of empowerment. It's the opposite of strong and independent. I mean, you're not standing on your own strength to go to the person who offended you. You're depending on everyone else being as offended or upset at person as you are. For years after those harassment accusations, I refused to do any workshops in my department or give any presentation because I was afraid of offending someone. I stopped going to potlucks and participating in social activities at work because I was afraid of getting fired. Not to mention, it's a rotten feeling to be around people in which you think they don't like you. I even had a female colleague had the gall to say this: well, if people are complaining about you, maybe you should change. And it was ironic because this colleague was one of the most inconsiderate, unprofessional, unproductive members on the team. And I was like, nope, I like who I am. The answer I should have given, because I need to stop saying that because a lot of people are like, well, I guess you're an asshole, you're gonna like being an asshole. No, the answer I should have given was, it's not everyone who's complaining about me. As much as I was rustling jimmies, I had even more peers giving me props outside of meetings and behind closed doors, thanking me for having the courage to speak up, telling me it's messed up that someone else complained. This is what social justice does. Those with the popular opinion are allowed to be themselves, and if you're not with it, then you should change. You should get with the program, or you should hide who you are. It's so backwards. The difference between them, the people who complain about me, and me, is that I'm not gonna try to get you fired or ruin your career just because I don't like you. We're adults. So when I finally stick my head out to do a workshop at the insistence of a manager who's just trying to get me out of my comfort zone, I got in trouble because I joked about a rule and used a voice that sounded retarded. Literally, I was like, oh, look at this rule and this rule. Yeah, so I sounded retarded. I was making fun of the rule. But I was just joking. No one in the room had mental disabilities. I had seen countless workshops where the speakers were 10 times more professional than that, making dirty jokes. One time, the girl who accused me of sexual harassment, she was literally carried into the room like a baby into the arms of the other girl who claimed that I felt like I was stalking her. The one I genuinely love was carrying the girl who accused me of sexual harassment. I remember sitting there and I just thought to myself, this is some bullshit. And I remember when the meeting started, she literally told the whole conference room, why won't anyone else carry me in here like that? And I remember just like, yeah, because you would accuse us of sexual harassment. Stupid. I say that, man, because it's just, man, just thinking about it is so fucking annoying. I had to endure so much. I had to put up with that for years, literally years. So I would say from 2012 to probably 2016, it was that bad. So when I got called into a manager's office with the manager saying, yeah, Rock, so someone took that joke you said the wrong way. They said that you were making fun of people with mental disabilities. I effing lost it. Soon after, it wasn't even in a workshop. It was in a meeting with people with the same title as me. I'd known these people for years, and it was just 7 of us. And we were joking. Let me reiterate. This is why you can't trust certain people. We were all joking about what to do with our basically people who were working for us, and they were making grammatical mistakes in their work. Some people were like, yeah, well, maybe we should corner them in the hallway like bullies. And in the midst of the laughter, I took it too far, as I usually do, and I said, wouldn't it be funny if I busted out their headlights? So when they went out to the car at the end of their shift, we'd be like, well, that's what you get for messing up in your work. Again, everyone was joking. That was my contribution. That was my joke. So it's like a sketch, right? Everyone's joking, and then when it gets to Rock, oh, Rock, that's too harsh. That's too soon. I'm like, dude, you literally talked about blowing someone up, you know, but let me say something, that's when it's too much. So again, I got called into the manager's office where it was brought to my attention that someone complained. And I literally asked my manager, I'm like, did someone really think I'm gonna go out there and bust their headlights out? Because why else would you complain about that? Everyone else was tossing out jokes. What do all these complaints have in common? They're all from millennials. And not just any millennial, but I hate to say it because I don't want to sound too divisive, but it's the leftist, Democrat-leaning kind. The same ones that talk about tolerance and acceptance. Unfortunately, I don't know who I'm dealing with when I first meet you, so I always make it a habit of testing waters at the beginning. I bring up something topical, like mentioning the gender wage gap, or the real reason behind the protests, or the elections. And depending on the person who responds, I learn who I'm dealing with, and I treat them with love and respect as Christ commands, but you're more likely getting the Clark Kent version of me, because I don't trust you. The last straw was Toastmasters. One day, this is a funny story, but one day a young charismatic speaker named Jabril came to our department. I was 28, 29 at the time, this is back in 2015, and he talked to us about getting involved in the company's Toastmasters, or organization that helps people with public speaking and social skills. Clearly I have a problem with that, right? So all my people who at the beginning say, oh, well, you shouldn't let those experiences stop you. Yeah, here's an example of didn't let it stop me, because Jabril approached me specifically. He wanted me to get involved. More than that, he wanted me to be the president of our department's Toastmasters. He saw the charisma in me, and yeah, he saw the potential I can put on a show. But I had to talk to him. I had to tell him, hey, yo, and I basically told him what I just laid out in this essay. I've been through some shit here, you know, and he told him about all the complaints that people lodge against me, and he gave me this spiel. He's like, brother, because we're both black. He's like, you gotta rise above all that. He told me that the complaints and them trying to get me in trouble was just their attempt to contain me. It's to hold me down because they don't want to see me succeed. Which honestly, I was like, you know what? There's some truth in that. You know, like all the complaints and people trying to get me in trouble, it felt like they were just trying to hold me back. They don't want me to succeed, or at the very least they wanted to do better than me, and they couldn't outperform me because I was one of the top workers. So he encouraged me to get out of my comfort zone, give it one more shot, don't let the experiences stop me, and be my department's first president of Toastmasters. Comfort zone. Remember that. That's what people say. Oh, gotta get a comfort zone. I agreed. I decided to take on this challenge, to test myself, to go for it. And ladies and gentlemen, I really committed myself to that first meeting. I organized it. I got others involved in speaker roles. It was not easy. I do not like being told no. And after being accused of sexual harassment, I'm not the type of person to keep pushing anyone to do something after they told me no just once. So keep that in mind, ladies, if you play hard to get. You tell me no, I'm gone. But I did it. I got the meeting off the ground. It was our first Toastmasters meeting in an apartment. I had a huge turnout. It was in an auditorium. But the problem was, Again, I really hope that you understand and believe when I'm saying this to you. But it was an accumulation of all the reasons why I hate parties and social events to begin with. When I say it was a huge turnout, we're talking about 50 plus people, and I'm the president, I'm the center of attention. All eyes are on me. When people got up to speak and talk about themselves, it reminded me of how alone I was, how different I was from everyone else. Everyone talked about normal things. They were normal people. I wish I could be more like them. I wish I could be more like you, but I'm not. When you try to push me to be someone I'm not, that's when I run into Titanic iceberg and I start to sink. So while I was presiding over this meeting in front of 50 plus people in this auditorium, guess what happened? Your boy Rock suffered a debilitating panic attack in front of everyone, in front of all my peers, in front of the girl who accused me of sexual harassment, in front of the woman I actually loved for most of my adult life and then claimed that I was stalking her, in front of my enemies who complained and tried to get me in trouble because they were offended. I, a 6'3", 225 muscular black man, started crying in the front row of this auditorium. Grown-ass man. It was one of the most painful experiences of my life. Jabril, the guy who encouraged me to do it, of course this guy is more seasoned as a speaker than I am, he came in, he took over the meeting. At the end of the meeting, he tried to get me to go back up to the podium to close it out. And people started chanting my name, and it's like, they were like, Rocky, Rocky, everyone's chanting my name. I couldn't not go up, everyone's chanting my name, so white as a ghost, with all the strength I could muster, I got back up to the podium, angry, frustrated, embarrassed. I told them with my last bit of strength and energy, people laugh about this now because when they quit and they leave, they say, hey, what was the most memorable, thing that you remember during your time at my company, the company I work for? And they look at me and they're like, when Rock got up there, he closed out this meeting because it was like Bill Clinton, during his resignation. But basically I told them with my last bit of strength, you guys, I really appreciate you guys coming up and sharing and participating. But what this has shown me is how much I am truly different from you guys. And I'm sorry to inform you, but this is my last night as your president. So basically, I was my department's president of Toastmasters for one meeting, and I resigned. And ironically, the person who filled that position after me was the same girl I was actually in love with, and she did a better job. She was more outgoing than I was. I mean, if we got married, we would have been perfect for each other because she was my equal but opposite in a lot of ways. But yeah, when people talk about how I should step out of my comfort zone as a mature adult, I remain composed and try to keep fact that they're just trying to help, but on the inside, there's about 100 raised middle fingers jutting forth from the darkness. But Rock, you can't let those experiences, let me stop you right there. I'm glad I had those experiences. I'm glad I suffered those false accusations. I'm glad I had packs of millennials trying to get me in trouble at every turn. All of it made me who I am. And in so many ways, it played a part in me wanting to pick up the Bible and draw closer to God sooner than later. If I ever saw those women again, I'd probably smile and embrace them, air hug. Clearly I don't want to touch them. But I'm not who I used to be, and I'm willing to bet they've changed as well, I hope. Those experiences made me far wiser and experienced than I ever dreamed. Even to this day, most people think a false accusation is no big deal. I don't blame them. If you never experienced it, it's easy to buy the stupid line of, if you're innocent, then you have nothing to fear. Or, being falsely accused still isn't as bad as being harassed or raped. Doesn't change the fact that it's still bad. It took years to let go of that pain and anger and strive to simply forgive. And if it wasn't for the strength and wisdom God provides in His Word, the Bible, I really do think I would have committed suicide a long time ago. Because my hope in this generation is all but depleted. Thus, I stopped putting hope in humans. At the age of 30, I remember it was my birthday and I said, you know what, I need to stop depending. When I say humans, I'm talking about not just friends, but also family. I don't expect, no one owes me anything. I have no expectations. When I get married, even then, it'll take a while for me to fully trust that this is the woman who I can be with for the rest of my life. I hope I'll be happy, but yeah, it's gonna take some time. I put trust and I put hope in God and our Lord Jesus Christ. If I get married, I know it'll be because God directed our footsteps toward that union. If not, I know I'm still being used to God's purpose, even if that purpose isn't revealed to me. Alright, so the remedy. The top 4 reasons why I'd actually want to go to a party or an event. If you watched this far in earnest, then these remedies shouldn't surprise you. Getting me to go to a party or social event is about giving my mind something to focus on. If it's just to socialize where I don't know what to expect or what's going to happen, guess what? That's not going to work. Yeah. Hey, Rock, get in this car. Where we're going? Oh, it's going to be a surprise. Nah, it ain't going to work. I ain't going in. Hey, Rock, go to this event. What's going to happen there? Oh, it'll be a surprise. Nah, I ain't going to do it. You don't like to be surprised? No, I don't. I do not. Why? Because my mind will race. I just don't like doing that. I know that's fun for some people, like the thrills. I'm not that kind of guy. Don't like surprises. It ain't gonna work. So number 1, I have a job to do. I didn't realize it until I was 27. I drove to Kentucky for my cousin's wedding, and none of the previous 4 points that I mentioned about why I don't like going to parties, it didn't bother me. I wasn't worried about socializing. I wasn't worried about finding a girlfriend or offending any millennials or even being alone because I had a job to do. I was the cameraman. Yes, it definitely helped that I was very close to this cousin and my aunt and my uncle. That helped a lot. But mingling with strangers and having a good time, it was easier knowing that my mind was focused. So give me a job to do that's not all about socializing. Put me in charge of the music or the sound system, distributing flyers, filming the event, cleanup, setting up the tables and chairs, breaking down the equipment. I'll be all over that. I love doing that. I love being productive. To me, that's more fun than walking up to some stranger. Hey, what's your name? Oh, how you doing? Where are you from? And then putting this mask on my face, smiling, trying not to be like, man, that's so boring. Why did you do that? Okay. Number 2. I have something or someone to focus on. I don't mind going to a party or social event if I'm in a stable relationship with a woman who wants me to be there. It eliminates the loneliness, the performance of socializing, because I can socialize with her if I get bored, the pressure of courtship because I already have her, and it eliminates the concept of not fitting in with millennials. If she's my girlfriend or wife, she already knows that I don't fit in with most, and is likely to already accept and appreciate who I am regardless. If I don't have someone to focus on, something will work. I'm talking about a football game or a boxing match at some watch party. I'm not there to socialize so much as I am to turn my attention to the main event. I can do that. Number 3, it's a special occasion that furthers my career. Being an adult sometimes means doing things that you don't want to do. A couple of years back, my department was bought out by a new company and we had a grand opening. Normally I decline those kind of things, especially with this department. But yeah, I was given the job of camera and filming it, but also it gave me FaceTime with the president of the company and other high-ranking members of the company, letting them know I exist, putting myself in good standing, because honestly I am a little bit competitive, and yeah, I'm not about to let someone who complained on me get all the FaceTime. And oh, for my fellas out there, if you work in a corporation and you're competing with someone, or you're beefing with someone, or there's an undercurrent where you guys are going for the same position, you don't want that person to get all the FaceTime and you not put yourself forward when it comes to the department manager or whoever's in charge. Because when it comes to these social events, I hate to say it, as much, it doesn't matter how great work you are, if the manager doesn't know about you, it means nothing. And that has happened to me in the past, where the manager had no idea how much work I was doing. All he knew was the social events and going to parties, and they knew who was going to the parties. So when it came time for promotion, they knew these people, and sometimes these people are the least productive members, and that actually drew a lot of conflict and frustration from people in the department. Like, why the freak did you promote that person, him or her? He's like, oh, well, I think they were going to do a job. No, you were misinformed. Yes, you cannot depend on other people to promote you unless you have a really good manager or boss who's open about that. But yeah, from my experience, especially if your management is full of millennial peers who don't like to give compliments anyway, or when they do give compliments, it's pretty much to everyone for every little thing, so that it's pointless. All right, number 4, and this is the big one. To get me to go to a party or a social event is to show support for someone else. And I'm talking about someone that I'm actually proud of. And again, I do have close friends. And so to give you an example, if my wife was invited to some function and she wants me to go and make a good impression, you can bet your ass I'll be there to support her. If my little cousin worked her ass off to graduate and there's a party celebrating her, you can bet your ass I'll be there. If my niece gets baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, even though I'm not that religion, if my niece gets baptized as a Jehovah's Witness, even though I'm not part of that religion, if I'm invited to a party to celebrate it, you can bet your ass I'll be there. If my brothers get married and they throw bachelor parties, I will be there. And all the reasons that they have in common is that the reward's guaranteed to be there. And it's worth it. What's that reward? The honor of simply being there. It's definitely not a waste of time, and these rewards are gifts that no one can physically give or take away from me. The reward comes from the honor of just being there. Even if they're too busy or caught up with, accepting a reward or, having a good time to even acknowledge my presence, I simply pay money just to be there and see that, because I love these people. They mean something to me, and I'm happy for them. That's what it means to actually be happy for someone. Hopefully this helps when it comes to the topic of why don't you like going to social events, or Rock, seriously, I think you should just take yourself out of your comfort zone. Nah, son, I'm 34 years old. I put myself through enough trial and errors where I know myself. I know my strengths and my weaknesses, and party scenes is not my scene. Put me in charge of something that needs to get done, and I'll get that done. I'm your guy for that. Put me in charge of production, and I'm your guy for that. But when it comes to just parties, you can have fun. I know how to have fun. I can pretend to have fun. I can put on a performance, but I don't enjoy it. Thanks for watching.